Hi, I'm Emily Pollard. I'm not the best with technology, so I'll be holding up my presentation to make it a little bit easier to follow along with what I'm talking about. I'm doing my presentation and my research on specialized bird dog training, specialized bird dogs in general, or specialized dogs in their fields, what goes into breeding these dogs, how to breed certain traits, and the importance of a lineage, and then what goes into training and how you can express those traits specifically. So I've actually had two dogs in my life. One was a mutt, and this is a Labrador Retriever, and he was specially bred to be a hunting dog. Both of his parents were hunting dogs, and it's a very long lineage. So we kind of have the responsibility to keep that lineage. My dad's a bird hunter. We needed to train him. And even before he's less than a year old, in my experience, he has already been the blind. He's already caught numerous birds, and he has that kind of natural urge to find the birds, which is one thing that that made me more inclined to do this project, because I was interested in how you breed a dog to want to catch a bird. I have had another dog. He was a mutt. He was still very, very intelligent. But we never trained him to do a certain task like this one, which is kind of interesting how specifically you can do that. So why you guys should care, because I don't think most of you are looking for a hunting dog or a specific working dog. Let's see, that helps in the near future. I don't know if you've seen these guide dogs on campus, and they're training to be a guide dog. It's the same type of concept where they've been through the breeding process, and they've been chosen to be trained. They're also it's a different field, and it's a little bit more extreme of a field. It's the same basis of training for these dogs to be very highly intelligent and to pick up the skills needed for whoever their owner may be. Just to get some background research, I found an article called Breed Differences in Everyday Dogs, which gave the basis understanding of how it works to train a dog to follow certain tasks and to do certain things like a bird dog would. Working dogs, they did a study on the temperament of the animal and the relationship between the breed of an animal versus how it is acting in the household, and they found that they're 10% more trainable, 30% more interested in playing with humans, which overall leads to a easier trainability factor, and they're 10 to up to 60% less fearful than other dogs. So even in the baseline and the group of many working dogs, they all have very similar abilities, allowing you to specialize certain techniques and certain tasks that you want the dog to do. You can use breeding to accentuate those, because they innately have these abilities, innately have a different temperament, so you can kind of exploit those certain DNA, and you can train a dog to overall behave a certain way before you even get to training. So this is an article that used a lot of this man named Bob Sanderson, who's been breeding English settler gun dogs for over 35 years, and kind of his backstory and how he what he thinks about the process. So he has the opinion that that a bird dog that is bred right doesn't require much training at all. It should be innately in them to want to do something, and that they only need a little bit of positive reinforcement rather than brutal force. These dogs already have the innate feeling of what they should be doing, that they just need the experience, and they need to make the mistakes so they can learn from it to get over it and eventually become a very well-trained dog, specifically in bird training. Parameters in field training. This was a study in Norway done to find dogs to breed. They would rate the dogs on a scale of 1 to 6 in certain fields, from hunterness, eagerness, to speed and style and width and ability to work, as well as the amount of birds they found. And they wanted to find the correlation between that and then what genes they'd pass on to their offspring. and the repeatability factor of these genes. Although they didn't find any repeating ability in the bird like the amount of birds they found, they didn't find that to be correlated to any of the offspring. They found the repeatability factors to vary from 0.11 to 0.48. To get into the teaching techniques aspect, because training is also very important to encourage the dog, there's two main ways to train a dog. There's a traditional dominance-based method, and then there's a reward-based method. So dominant-based method would be like the human is the head of the household. The dog needs to follow the human. The human will be in charge, and it's more not punishment-based, but it's punishing the dog for doing something wrong, rather than the reward-based system, which would be rewarding the dog for doing something good, and it's more like an equal share and balance between the dog and the human. Different ways for different types of dogs. Some dogs look for a leader, but it's still important to recognize that this is an animal, and a lot of success is found mainly in the reward-based system. Behavioral coding, this is mainly with service dogs in particular, but it can be important to talk about in this way because they are working dogs as well. In this study, they used behavioral assessments to determine the future success of the dog. So even from an early age of the dog, they can determine how successful that dog is going to learn its the tasks that it necessarily needs to learn. So they have to determine certain behavioral stances with them, how they react to humans, how they react to their environment, specific things like that, to determine how successful this dog will be in the future, how trainable it will be, because they realize that not all traits are trainable. Some traits come from breeding. The direction I want to go, I want to do more research on the specifics of breeding, the pros and cons of dog breeding. Specifically, I want to dive into the adopt and don't shop method, because that's very prevalent in society today. And then even going into specific training techniques and how exactly you can get a dog to follow a specific task. This is why we're excited. Thank you all for watching. Everyone have a wonderful long spring break.